come and they said, Jawahir ke nati aaya, usko dekha na hai.
The 44-year-old Crown Prince of the Grand Old Party of India is finally back. Missing in action for 58 days. An absence shrouded in a Gestapo-like silence. Leaving his party to fumble for answers on where he was and why he disappeared. From introspection to a well-deserved break, to a politician having the right to have a private time, it was spoofed, debated and analysed. It was a mystery disappearance like none other.
He's different. He doesn't follow a script that people are normally accustomed to, and I think it should be refreshing for people.
Ending weeks of speculation as Rahul Gandhi returned to his 12th Tughlaq Lane residence, he was welcomed by Mother Sonia Gandhi and Sister Priyanka. A group of Congress workers seemed enthused about his return. But the Gandhis continued to play hide and seek with media, refusing to give any comments. And questions continue to haunt if the Gandhi scion will ultimately take up the leadership baton in the days to come, and if he has indeed a successful game plan. A transition in the Congress has been expected for a while now. At the Jaipur convention 2 years back, Rahul Gandhi was elevated to Congress Vice President. There was widespread understanding that Sonia Gandhi would eventually anoint son Rahul as the Supreme Leader. But the crushing Lok Sabha defeat and Rahul's mystery disappearance has led to more questions than answers. In a first, leaders are openly asking if the ascension of a Gandhi will benefit the party. An emotion never expressed as publicly.
You can't single out people by saying this should be there or that should be there. You have to take everyone in your stride. And I hope he will understand that if he is to take over, which I still feel that Mrs. Gandhi should continue for some time, till he really fits fits the bill. I shouldn't say fits the bill, but certainly fits into the system.
In the 129-year-old party, the Gandhi surname has been the glue that kept the Congress together. The first family always considered the unchallenged supremos. But with Rahul's return, Rahul Gandhi being handed over the reins is being questioned.
There is no issue of Mrs. Gandhi having outlived her utility. I think, in fact, she's currently much more important for the Congress than perhaps she was in 1998. And the stellar role she played in putting the party together and giving us a direction and then leading us to victory between 1997-98 to 2004. I think more of that is required from her today.
Rahul's critics argue his inability to lead from the front has not gone down well with old-timers. The charges continue that he lacks adaptability unlike his mother, that he cannot take generations along, and his refusal to understand that an old party takes time to change. Added to this discourse is the perception he does not want to carry along the old guard.
So you are falling between two stools. And I say that if Rahul is to be there, please give him command.
I would remind the congressman that politics in India has changed. So they will have to change the substance and style of their functioning. The Congress leadership. Everything cannot function on the diktats of 10 Janpaths, an A leader or B leader.
Rahul himself, though, is to be blamed for the muted rebellion against his expected crowning. Since the time he took an active political plunge 11 years back, RG, as his intimate group calls him, has played the reluctant debutant. In his impressive Lok Sabha elections debut in 2004, Rahul polled in 66.18% of the votes in the family constituency of Amethi. He was Indira's Nati and Jawahar's parpota to the villagers. And Rahul promised hope. He symbolized change and end to divisive politics.
उस समय जब आए तो उन्होंने विशेष करके अपने ही पिताजी की याद दिलाई अमेठी को, और हम समझते हैं कि उसी का लाभ उनको मिला।
इनसे भी वही उम्मीद करते हैं कि इनमें कुछ काम करने की एक शक्ति है और ऊर्जा है, तो वो करेंगे, बेहतर काम करेंगे देश पे, राष्ट्र हित में।
Questions were asked if Rahul would soon be in the Manmohan Singh cabinet. But each time, Rahul declined, stressing he was focused on structural changes within the party.
And I've heard the arguments.
In 2007, Rahul Gandhi became the party's general secretary in charge of student and youth organizations. The Indian Youth Congress and NSUI witnessed manifold membership increase in the next 3 years. But it was in July of 2008 that Rahul Gandhi displayed a bright spark in the temple of democracy. Rahul made an impassioned speech in Lok Sabha about Kalavati Bandurkar, a widow from Yavatmal whose farmer husband had committed suicide, leaving her in debt. And Kalavati became a household name following the speech as Rahul stole national headlines. It was also in 2008 that Rahul batted strongly in support of the nuclear deal with America, close to then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's heart. He reminded lawmakers of similar opposition to his father and former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's vision on IT that ultimately transformed India. With his dimpled smile and boyish face and focus on youth, people saw in Rahul traces of both his father Rajiv and uncle Sanjay.
Rahul, at least externally in terms of his imaging, has elements of both Rajiv and Sanjay. Does he have elements of Indira? I guess a little less. But I think image is created always on the basis of something you've done.
Rahul's 12th Tughlaq Lane residence had become the second most powerful address for congressmen after 10 Janpath, party president Sonia Gandhi's official residence. With his backroom boys, data presentations and think tank approach, Rahul was preparing the ground for the Uttar Pradesh battle in 2009. He forced the party to take the Akla Chalo route. And the party made a remarkable comeback in the crucial state, with 22 MPs compared to 9 in the 2004 Lok Sabha elections.
Despondency of Babri Masjid was over. People were coming back, second breath as it were. A lot of traditional congressmen came back to us. And I think all that put together gave us those 22 seats. But he was there. He was an integral part of that campaign. And he led that campaign from the front. Everybody wanted him.
But Rahul Gandhi could not carry forward the 2009 parliamentary victory to states where he strategized and handpicked candidates. The party lost ground in Uttar Pradesh too, with merely 28 assembly seats in 2012. Out of the 18 assembly elections that the Congress contested under Rahul Gandhi's leadership in 2013 and 14, the party could win only 4 polls, with Karnataka being the only big state.
Punjab was a very good example. Punjab was a state where it was said that he's worked a lot with the Punjab University Students' Union, etc. Look at the way that state went, goes to the hands of an SAD-BJP combine, where it is quite clear that the people don't clearly favor the SAD as much. So if there had been a strong Congress, that state was for their taking.
Election report cards in the red, and controversial statements over the years by the Gandhi scion, many a times embarrassing his own party, government or even his ancestors. In October 2008, while addressing girl students at a resort near Jim Corbett National Park, Rahul Gandhi referred to the political closed system in India where dynasty mattered. In 2011 May, he rode pillion on a bike to enter the Bhatta Parsal villages in Uttar Pradesh, giving the district administration a slip and challenging the might of then Chief Minister Mayawati. After a visit to 7 Racecourse Road post Bhatta Parsal agitations, Rahul levelled serious allegations of rapes in the villages and mounds of ashes with dead bodies inside. Those allegations, however, remained unfounded. Few hours after his speech, Kalavati's son and daughter-in-law committed suicide. her plight worsened, but Rahul Gandhi did not go back to the family. And 11 years after his association with the constituency, his voters have become unhappier.
जनता से दूरी बनाए रखे, एमपी लैंड का विकास फंड रहा हो, उसको भी एक्सपेंड नहीं कर पाए। इस तरह से जनता उनसे काफी दूर जा चुकी धीरे-धीरे।
In 2013, in an embarrassment to his own government, Rahul Gandhi walked into a party press interaction and tore to pieces a copy of the ordinance aimed at protecting convicted lawmakers. The Congress-led UPA government had to withdraw the ordinance.
My opinion on the ordinance is that it's complete nonsense and that it should be torn up and thrown out. That's my opinion, my personal opinion on the ordinance.
But theatrics aside, unlike a phenomenal brand Modi, brand Rahul has little concrete work to show. As the Modi wave swept the country in one of India's costliest general elections, the Congress was reduced to a mere 44 parliamentary seats.
I think Rahul has, in some senses, stayed away from creating too much of a brand for himself in terms of political ideologies. Occasionally he's shown signs of creating a separate brand, which is when, for example, he tore up the bill or he did some stuff like that. But I think that what will happen now is that if he takes a bigger role on, i.e. as party president, then you will see the building blocks of brand Rahul being visible.
After the break, can Rahul Gandhi be a formidable challenger to Narendra Modi, Arvind Kejriwal and regional satraps? And what will it take for him to bring back glory to the nearly 129-year-old party? Will Rahul Gandhi rise to the occasion? Rahul Gandhi has now returned in the backdrop of an aggressive Sonia Gandhi taking up the farmers' issue on land acquisition. Sonia took to the streets, strategized with a united opposition and made the party look cohesive. Sonia's aggression made many old leaders openly choose her over Rahul.
Right now, our leader is Sonia Gandhi. Nobody can deny that.
Not just rebellion within the party, but formidable foes outside. Rahul's biggest challenge today is Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
नई दिल्ली में तो एक मां की सरकार, एक बेटे की सरकार.
The Congress's ideology of traditional secularism is under attack from the proponents of cultural nationalism. Meanwhile, its traditional Jhuggi-Jhopdi space too was taken with the rise of Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi. And in states like West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, regional satraps enjoy the bigger share of the political pie.
Look at the democracies in the world. Most of the democracies in the world, in Europe, in England also, in Canada, have coalition government. And these coalition governments are functioning very properly. Therefore, we are in the era of not any but many political trends. And Rahul Gandhi or any leader of the Congress party will have to ensure this. Otherwise, it is not possible to combat the right-wing extremism and policies of the Modi government and ensure the return of the secular democratic politics.
Many believe Rahul has a personality issue, that he is naturally shy. Born on 19th of June 1970, he grew up traumatized by the brutal assassinations of his grandmother and father. After studying in India and abroad, he returned having worked in London for 3 years, only to find that it was he and not his charismatic sister Priyanka as his mother's chosen one to continue the family's political legacy.
You know, as someone who's had jhalaks of both of them, I would say that brand Rahul is probably much more deep in many ways. Priyanka has an obvious appeal It's a kind of instant glue for a certain kind of visibility to be attracted to her, and she has some very powerful images associated with her. But I think brand Rahul is a lot of work yet to be done.
But was Rahul comfortable with his mother's push? His ability to not be seen at crucial times hurt the party's image. In August 2013, as Anna Hazare and his then disciple Arvind Kejriwal catapulted to national crusaders against corruption, Rahul failed to sense the mood of the nation. Following the 16th December brutal gang rape, India splashed across the world media with protesters taking to Raisina Hill demanding justice. But Rahul Gandhi was missing in action. He was not to be seen on the streets in solidarity with young men and women. The Sheila Dikshit-led Congress government was in power at the state, but protesters were lathi-charged. And it was only much later that Rahul Gandhi, accompanied by Sonia, visited Nirbhaya in the hospital. A technology-driven elections in 2014 saw massive use of social media by both the Modi and Kejriwal camp. Today, most political leaders have a substantial footprint across social media, the best youth connect. Rahul Gandhi, however, remains aloof.
You don't have to issue press statements now. You just, in 140 characters, you can convey what you want to convey, and that makes a story. I've been saying this to Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself, that he should, there are fake identities of Rahul Gandhi being used on Facebook, on Twitter, and but at the same time, he should come out officially. He must have an official Facebook account, official Twitter account, and he must write blogs also. People in this country want to know what Rahul Gandhi stands for.
The wheel has now turned a full circle. This time, partymen suggesting even his sister would be a better leader than him, raising Priyanka Lao, Congress Bachao slogans on the street. Even as Priyanka confines herself to managing the election campaigns of her mother in Raebareli and brother in Amethi.
She has obviously taken a decision, which is that she will go the extra mile to support him. Now, if she's supporting him, we should welcome it. Now, should we decide how she should support? Should we decide to what extent she should support? Should we decide that she should get some return out of this support? It's not fair. It's just not fair.
Rahul's hit-and-run politics has provided ammunition to opponents. Party men and workers can only hope he has re-emerged in a new avatar, ready to get his hands dirty in the dust and grime of politics, carrying forward the Gandhi tradition.
This is an adopted name for the Gandhis. This is a name that Gandhi himself gave to Indira Gandhi when she was getting married to her then husband Firoz Gandhi. So the Nehrus reinvented themselves as the Gandhis. It is now the moot question as to how that reinvention happens. The name of the Gandhis shall live.